Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. All right. Hello, everybody. So glad to be here with you. I've got the amazing Adam Shomer here today. Hi, Adam.
Good morning, Daniel. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Adam's did some incredible things. I mean, I'm just so blessed to have him here today. And he's done incredible things. We're here to talk about freedom and how that relates to his movies, including The Road to Dharma, which is being released right now. Well, it's actually available now. So we're going to talk about that. I've been watching it, Adam, and I truly, I mean, it's so deep. I mean, it's not just like what's being said, but it's the transmission of the entire energy of the film. It's just got this sort of deep energy that just soaks in your energy, you know? So it's really amazing. So I'm looking forward to talking about that with everybody, but I want to share about you a little bit more first.
Okay.
So Adam Shomer is known for going to extreme lengths, I could see that, to follow stories that empower us. Feature documentaries include The Highest Path in 2012, The Polygon in 2014, One Little Pill 2015, Women of the White Buffalo 2020. So we've got another one recently. And then the #1 iTunes bestseller, Netflix hit Heal 2017, which many of us I bet have seen or heard about. Adam created and directed the stunning DocuSeries, again, that I'm watching now, The Road to Dharma 2020, and its companion online course for living a life of freedom. In addition to film, he's a certified master sattva yoga teacher, has been leading meditations for over 10 years, and his mission is to unite through wisdom and entertainment. And you can learn more about him as well at www.living, like the letter I, and then the number 2, the letter I.com. Okay.
Yes.
So
yeah. Thank you for that.
Sure thing. So Adam, I mean, again, I just want to talk about the film to get started and go from there. But I just really been impressed. I often have been watching them later at night. I'll turn it on and start soaking it in. And it's stunning visuals, of course, of India and, you know, like seeing the mountains, whatever, everything. And and then with your guru, Anna, right? Is it Anna or
Anand. Anand, yeah.
Anand. Okay, that's right.
And I mean, in India, they might say more like Anand, but Anand, meaning bliss, means bliss, basically.
Oh, okay. But listening to him speak in his presence is really powerful. But the whole thing is powerful to me. Everybody involved, the whole thing is very, very deep. And so my first question when somebody's done such a thing, what inspired you to create this, to do this whole thing, you brought eight people with you on this journey? What inspired you?
Yeah, technically, yeah, 8 riders and 8 passengers. So for those that don't know, Road to Dharma is motorcycling through the Himalayas with a guru. We're all seeking freedom. And we wanted to make sure we opened it up. So part of what inspired us is this desire to share, wisdom, right? To share what I found in India, what helps me evolve, and let other people experience it. Because not everybody gets to A, go to India, B, travel to these sacred sites that we go to in the Himalayas, C, be part of a pilgrimage like this. So it's always nice to, like yourself, share what you've learned, right? And I mean, that's the Buddha, right? He didn't just disappear, like you have behind you. He just didn't disappear. He stuck around and wanted to share it. So that's the initial inspiration, saying, well, we're doing this. Let's share it. And what a cool way. I had done many feature docs, as you listed, and The Highest Path was my first documentary, and we motorcycled through the Himalayas. I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle, and my guru asked me to, hop on he said, hey, do you want to come right over the highest road in the world? And so I learned 2 weeks before one of the most treacherous rides in India to ride a motorcycle. So that was kind of the impetus, and knowing that how impactful that film was for people and the feedback we got, and just making it was a huge journey for me. I wanted to then do it in more depth. So a different journey, and I wanted more focus on the riders and the passengers and their individual stories. And the only way to do that is through a series, to really have time, 10 episodes, to go deeper, not only into their journeys, which people relate to, which I think is part of what you're feeling. There's this authenticity to the show. It's not a reality show that's casted. These are people that were going on this pilgrimage. But I wanted to really also have more time for the wisdom. So in a series, we kind of buy that time, we get you into the adventure, and then we can sit and hear wisdom from Anand at different points because it relates to what people are going through. So suddenly it's not just a Dharma talk, it's actually an experience, and we have something to relate it to, and we can sink into the wisdom, not only of these places, but what he's talking about and the people's experiences. So really the inspiration was, and trust me, Daniel, many people said, you're crazy. Even though I had done something similar before, they're like, you do feature docs, why are you doing a series? I said, no, I need more time. I want to be in somebody's living room for longer. I want to connect with you. You know how you watch a series and afterwards you're like, wait, where'd my friends go? It's done. And you want to keep hanging out with these people on TV. So that's why I did it, is to really have more impact on people. And that's also why then I developed the course, which we can talk a little more later, was so that those that are watching the series can then look back at it and go deeper, because it has that binge-worthy feel where you're taken on an adventure, but it's nice to then go back and do the coursework and the meditations and see some of the 5 hours of bonus footage that we have as well. So that's why I did it, because I love it and I wanted to share more. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, one of so the impetus for all this, and was talked about in the movie, or the DocuSeries, actually, I should call. I keep thinking of it like one long movie as I look at it, but so it's fun, like, oh, what's the next exciting chapter kind of thing. So watching it is, it's just fascinating. Going to these 4 different, peaks, different mountains, different centers, and each has a specific purpose. And so, and the first one is basically death, right? It's like, okay, the death of the ego, liberation. So, but everything is about this liberation, this freedom that's being presented and talked about, and that's so dear to me. I think a lot of times it's a loaded word, though, right? I mean, this idea of freedom. So are we free once we make a certain amount of money? I mean, like this, right? Financial freedom. Are we free? Are we free that we have a voice? We could speak our mind. I'm free. I can say whatever I want. Is that freedom? There's so many different ideas, and there's this idea of spiritual freedom. So there's so many concepts around freedom. So how would you describe what is freedom, and how is that shared, through the DocuSeries?
Yeah, it's fine that you call it a film. It's all film. It is like 1 5-hour long, film. It is a big question. What is freedom? That's what we explore. And I want people to ask themselves that question, really, is to start the inquiry into like, oh, wait, am I free enough just by having made money? Is that really giving me everything that I think I can be, my human potential? A big theme in the film, now I'm saying it in the series, is that we are greater than we know. That we have more potential, more possibility than we even realize. That in essence, we create some jails around ourselves in terms of our possibility, right? And so that's one part of freedom, is realizing our limited scope of who we are, and our limited scope of how we see the world or any situation. What goggles we're viewing through. So, when I think of freedom, it's definitely an ever evolving thing. But one of the first steps is the awareness of what blinders do I have that's confining my idea of self or the world. And then we start to unveil, I would say, a lot of the different aspects of that. Like you said, as we go to Kedarnath, we see how the ego and the death of ego is really keeping us, in craving and aversion. Is my circumstance perfect? And if I'm always looking for the perfect circumstance, am I really ever being here? Am I ever really allowing myself even to be liberated and free and just enjoy the moment? And to me, it's not like, oh, I've reached this state of pure bliss, of, Anand, so to speak, of of where everything feels great all the time, or I have 1,000 choices all the time. That I think is an idea that trips us up a lot. I think we can be free even when we're not feeling great. You know what I mean? Like when the circumstances are not great, there's a freedom in knowing, even if triggered, you know, if I was on a road trip and there was times I got irritable, I was just on a road trip for three weeks. It's part of the freedom is knowing that that's not real, even if we're in it for a bit, you know, and triggered for a bit, is knowing that eventually we come out, you know, that we have a practice and eventually we find our center again. There's a freedom in that. So it's not like freedom is, I figured it all out and I'm never gonna, you know, be triggered again in my life. That's not what I think, at least. It's this kind of deep understanding and knowing that we can always bring ourselves back and connect to that which is bigger than the idea we have. So it's tough to really answer quickly, but that's, you know, why we've laid out the series, is to get people thinking of these different aspects of freedom and not really attribute freedom to just money or choice. Choice can be a big stumbling block, I think. In the Highest Pass, there was this moment. So the Highest Pass is the initial film, right? That back in 2010 that we did. And there was a moment where we were in these avalanches. We were carrying bikes over snow and we're at 16,500 feet. And we realized there really was no turning back. You know, there was no longer any choice to go back where we came from. And there was a real freedom about it. And even though it was a really difficult situation, people were, you know, vomiting, there was headaches, there was altitude sickness, and we weren't sure if we were going to make it, there was a freedom in no choice. And I think we forget that, especially in America. We think that we need every choice all the time and the freedom to do what we want. And it's just not so. I think that's a lie that's been given to us. So, yeah.
That choice is just too crazy. I mean, we got so many choices. It's like nowadays you got thousands of channels on TV or billions of things to look at online, but you can look at your TV and say, there's nothing on, there's nothing on. But I just guarantee you, if there was just 5 channels, you'd say there's something on. You'd narrow your choice. You'd be like, that one thing, I guess that's good enough. Let's watch that. But there's thousands of choices. Everybody, are you free? I don't know. You just keep thinking about all your choices sometimes. So it can be an issue.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know like this series is one of thousands of series, right? So how do you cut through and get to people? And hopefully it's word of mouth and people just say, look, this is something that you'll watch and you'll actually feel better after watching. You know, it's not only entertaining, but it's going to inspire you. And the only way really to get people to see it, you know, and cut through all the choice is other people saying, look, go watch this, take some time, sit with this. And then people do. That's how I mean, I'm in the media world and I go by recommendations, because just searching on the channels is somewhat overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So because one of the things I like to do on this show is just really challenge any of our ideas, you know, my ideas, your ideas. Sure. So like, let's look at this choice thing. So one level, I'm like, yeah, I hear you. Like that totally makes sense. Yet, I mean, I guess maybe you would have died. I don't know. I don't know those situations in that movie, but you know, someone's going to say, I'm going back. There is a way to go back. I'll figure it out. Or I'm just going to meditate, hope my guides take care of me. I don't know, just great. All kinds of, you know, concepts of what you could do. And really that everything could be another way of approaching things, right? So I think that's another aspect that, you know, this idea of choice, but like, there are many different avenues that you could approach, yet one may seem more compelling. Like it seems like this is what we have to do, but isn't it true that even in that case, that somehow maybe there was other choices, right? If we just were to tune into that, but that may be not then what really seemed most compelling. So I wanted to explore that for a moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you for like that, you know, because we do see a lot of interviews where we're not challenging ideas, right?
Right.
You know, we're seeing CNN or Fox, and it's just very much people staying in their boxes. So it's good to like challenge and look deeper. And I think you're right. In that time, there technically was choices, right? When we're on the avalanche, we could lay down and cry like a baby. You know, we could try and turn around. You know, but there was that feeling of like, no way, I don't want to go back, right? So I think this is like part of the, how would I say it? Part of the beauty of pilgrimage, I think, is that we put ourselves in situations where we have less choice, and that we've committed to work on our spirit in lieu of maybe comfort. So if we don't do that now and then, it's a little harder. I mean, it's a speedier way for evolution at times, right? I'm not saying this is the path, but pilgrimage and saying I'm going to go do something that's difficult, and cutting out the escape routes. Hey, just even saying I'm not going to have my phone near me for 4 hours will help you with something. You know, it will make you start to become aware of something else. So creating restrictions, I think, definitely will push us, right? But I'm also, like, as you can see with a series like this, I'm very humanist. I'm not like nihilistic where I'm trying to get rid of the senses or get rid of the world, right? I'm super like, if this spirituality stuff doesn't apply on a motorcycle when I'm facing death, or doesn't apply in my life day to day in Los Angeles to be a better guy, then what use is it? I don't want to just sit and meditate and feel bliss and then come back and I'm falling apart, right? So that's where I come from, of let's do some crazy stuff and apply the teachings and put ourselves in difficult situations, right, on purpose, right, so that our crap comes up and we can work on it. And sometimes, you know, yeah, we might choose even in that moment to cower, but at least we're putting ourselves in the moment where we've hopefully committed to step up. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think like what's so awesome about it is that, like it's demonstrated in the film, like you said, like, okay, we've got this, like the people going in basically are like, okay, my life's going to change. It's happening, this trip. And they were committed to it, right? This is happening. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know why this pilgrimage is going to create that for me. I don't know, but that's my intent. That's what's happening. And, you know, that's how it is in our life. Like, well, what are you setting your intention towards? You know, what do we focus upon? And, you know, so we could, in a spiritual sense, because it's, again, what my audience tends to struggle with sometimes.
Yeah.
You literally can. You can go up in the mountains. You can meditate. People have done it. You know, they put themselves in an ashram or whatever. They just meditate. They just do their thing. And maybe they're happy, maybe they aren't there, you know, right? So, but that's their path they've chosen. They may spend 10, 20 years or more there. But a lot of them come back into the world too. They're like, okay, it's time to get back out in the world. We could do that, or we could just say, I'm just going to namaste my life away. Okay, you know, pink light, namaste, everything, you know, and we can live that way. We can live that life and say, I have a pleasant life. I have a good life. But how is it when you're willing to face those challenges that we can set up for ourselves as part of our spiritual path to deepen into deepen our awakening or into our power or whatever, you know, however you look at it. But like, I'm just, you know, bringing this out to go deeper. Like, how could it be juicier where, like, here at Spiritual Rockstar, people want to do big things in the world through spiritual entrepreneurship. It's like, just to really commit to your deepest intention, how that can be so transformative. Because I know some of my people, even my guests, when I talk to them off the camera, they're like, sometimes I just wonder, like, why bother with any of it, right? So it's like, because
it's hard work. Because it's also hard work, right?
Yeah, exactly. People don't want to face those aspects of themselves. They run from them. And when you're in this road to Dharma, what's so beautiful is they're constantly faced with new things they just can't run away from. You're here. You know, we're here now. This is happening. You can't run from that thing inside of you right now. It's coming up one way or another. It's going to happen. I mean, you're going to get triggered, and it's set up that way. And I think that's so beautiful. And so tell us more about that. There's a lot. I bring a lot sometimes at once, but like, tell us more about that. Like, on this pilgrimage that you guys went on, like it as a metaphor for life too. Like how important that is, and how we really do need to, if we want to deepen and we want to face all of ourselves and we want to deepen our awakening or whatever you want to call it, that we really need to do that to find the deeper freedom that we're really looking for. What's your response to that?
Absolutely. I mean, my response is 100% pilgrimage is necessary, and pilgrimage doesn't have to be going to India. We set it out that way, but people, when you see the show, you'll relate to the characters, right? Ryan, who's dealing with seizures, but still is hopping on a bike. Elle, who had never ridden a motorcycle before. So anyone that's learning to do something new, but does it anyway. And that process of like fear and having to keep breaking through. me making my first film, The Highest Pass, was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And it was constantly, every day is new, new, new. It's like, God, when am I going to actually be able to make a film and know how to make it beforehand, you know, not have to learn everything. I mean, I'm at that point now, but there's always something new that I learn when I'm making a film. There's some new aspect. So I think it's really, really important that we're aware of the fact that if we're becoming afraid or hitting challenges, that's a great thing. If we're even having feelings of, gosh, this is hard work, or this isn't what I thought, you know, this is great. Okay, then we get to look at, well, wait a second, what were my expectations? Did I think that making film the whole time was just one set of bliss? No, there's distribution, there's business, there's editing, there's hours and hours of just, I mean, riding a motorcycle is not all fun. It's very dangerous. It takes a lot of focus. It's painful on your body. And so I think it's really, really important to have the attitude of two things. One, to put ourselves in difficult situations, you know, to push ourselves, to set goals and intentions and really go for it. And two, to forgive ourselves for falling, you know, for having triggers and moments where we're not perfect. Three, you know, to remember that it's not really supposed to feel amazing all the time. And then to come back to, like, four, to come back to, well, wait, what's my intention? What's my intention? What am I doing this for? I do want to help people. And so that it's not so much, oh, I want to help people per se, but also it's part of my own evolution, right? That's always number one. My own personal evolution, number one. Two might be the shifting purpose in front of me, meaning if somebody's hurt and I need to help them. And three would be the greater goal, for me at least, of sharing a film with people. So if number three, sharing the film with people, is overtaking my personal evolution, there's a problem. Mm-hmm. It means I forgot something along the way. And I think if we remember that and refer back, then when we get into these places of difficult time for your audience, when they're, you know, setting up a new goal, or really turning their passion, cashing in on their passion is a thing I used to say, cash in on your passion, back in college. Funny little thing. But when they're cashing in on their passion, realizing that, you know, the initial intention or the work that we were doing on ourselves, we have to keep doing, right? It can't be hypocritical. In the movie Heal, we talk a lot about stress being a precursor to disease. You know, that stress and our emotional state has a lot to do with our sickness and our healing. So during the film, we had to constantly remember, like, are we stressing ourselves out here with our tough schedule? And can we come back? Like, because if we're being hypocritical during the making of the thing, that's not going to work. Thich Nhat Hanh talked about it. He said, if someone's going to make a film about me, I want to know that that person is a practitioner and is living it while they're making a film about it, because otherwise it's hypocritical and it's just part of the same old system. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a perfect being, but by all means, I think we have to do things that challenge us. Otherwise we get too comfortable, and we have to keep popping our bubble. And we just have to know that we're not always going to feel amazing and that we're going to fall down. My guru says, forgive yourself 10 times a day, but hold yourself to high principles. And so today's my birthday, actually. And
happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. So I as I was meditating this morning, it really came to me that I want to write down some real guiding principles in my life and have that written and have that, you know, present on my wall that I can refer back to. And even if I'm not living up to it, that I remember these are the principles and we talk about that actually in lesson 9 and chapter 9 of the course. We talk about principles and how important they are to our lives.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the DocuSeries, I haven't watched it all. I just watched the beginning as you're beginning to go to the first, you know, peak.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the key things that you feel that you gained, and collectively that the group gained through the journey? What would you say, and then we can relate it to the course, because I'm sure it all connects. So
yeah, I think so in episode 3, sometimes I think episodes, chapters, they're all kind of, each episode of course has a theme within the episode, the greater theme of freedom. But then you'll see in episode 3, we're going to Kedarnath, the death of ego. In episode 4, we're looking at inner violence and recognizing that we all have this propensity for violence toward ourselves, self-hate, towards the circumstances of life, toward each other. You know, we blame. One of the escape routes we use, Daniel, is blame. So when I talk about getting rid of some of the escape routes, escape routes, it's having someone there to call you out and be like, look, you're projecting and blaming rather than taking responsibility. So that's episode 4, chapter 4. Episode 5 has to do with freedom that we can find in silence, in the gaps. That often the space between, if we think of quantum physics, is really where the power is. It's not the atoms, it's the space between the atoms that has this infinite field of energy, but also just listening to nature and quiet. Episode 6, we go to Badrinath, which is really about sustaining principle and practice and how it's an ongoing thing. And Badrinath is a really amazing place where a lot of yogis hibernate at times in the winter. So like literally some of the high masters have locked themselves in boxes and for months at times and hibernated. So the place is a place of practice. It's a deep practice. And we look at relationships during that episode, because relationships are definitely a practice in terms of, you know, relating to another person and the triggers they bring up. And in this case, we use Jeff and Jen, who go throughout the series. They're on the verge of divorce or on the verge of reconciliation, the whole series, which again, people can relate to relationships for sure. And then we go into, in episode 7, we're looking more at personal power that you mentioned earlier, personal power. We use Ryan there and his struggle of stepping into power, because a lot of times in the, call it the spiritual world or the yogic world, we tend to say things are all good, right? And not call a spade, you know? And if someone needs a good, like, talking to, and they're in your awareness and they're lying or they're saying things that are wrong view, sometimes you need to just put them in their place, right? It's not all good. As my teacher said to me a long time ago, he's like, don't denigrate your own intelligence. Like, you can tell when things are off. You don't always have to say something, but don't try and make everything okay. It's not, you know? And so that's a big lesson in 7 is stepping into one's personal power and owning who you are and what you know, and being okay with the fact that people won't like you, you know, necessarily, or react well. If you're a people pleaser, this is going to be a tough episode for you, but you'll probably really love it. It's one of the best moments in the series is in episode 7 for me, in the middle of this hidden valley of the flowers up near Hemkund Sahib. So I think at that point, 13,000 feet. And it's a path in the middle of the Himalayas, and you have Guru and Ryan, and it's just perfect talk. You know, I mean, I couldn't have scripted it, and it's just the most beautiful scene. And it's one of my favorite moments of the series. And then after that, we go into, we look at Hemkund Sahib, the idea of service and unity. That temple is all about how do we find freedom by serving others. You know, in essence, even doing that tends to elicit a sense of greater than oneself. When you start doing for others, you're putting less of the focus on your own ego and your own agenda. And then we wrap it up with, excuse me, with coming back to Rishikesh. And during that, I look at the idea of principles, but also I have a near-death kind of experience. I won't spoil it for y'all, but I go through some things there where I really have to look at taking on other people's fears. So part of chapter and lesson or episode 9 and 10 is this taking on of people's fears, which I think people really can relate to with the media and news and neighbors and people afraid of COVID in different ways. And of course we need to be in the world and wear a mask and do things that protect ourselves. But do we have to take on the fear all the time? Do we have to take on society's conditioned fear? Do we have to take on our friends' fear? And that happened to me. I kind of took on someone's fear. It amplified the fear that was already within me, to be honest, and put me in a situation where I almost died. And it was a really big lesson for me. So that's some of the posts along the way that relate to the lessons, these bigger topics of freedom that we explore.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow. Yeah, death experience. That's a good one to throw in there. Let's throw it in their death experience to juice it up. So
yeah, people got to watch episode 9 and 10, see me almost die. So
wow. Yeah, I mean, in the COVID era right now, I mean, it's very much like we're talking about, right? Everybody's like, I mean, a lot of people anyway are like, I want it to be done. Let's be over. It's too long. It just should be over. Let's get back to normal or the new normal or whatever. But let's just get back to living our lives. And I can't say that I don't feel that way sometimes. I'm like, I've been embracing it. I've also been like, I want to feel more free again in the ways I used to feel more free, and all those kinds of things. Yet, knowing it's meant to be what it is, and that it's making you go deeper within. It's making it at least for me, I mean, if you go unconscious, it's another story, but like, but it's giving us the invitation to go deeper within the whole entire thing. And I think that, whether it's, this road to Dharma, I think it's perfect time to watch it, really, if you think about it. It's like, listen, what you're dealing with is similar to, this sort of journey. You're on a journey. You're on your own road to Dharma with whatever you're up to in your life, right?
Absolutely. I think we're on a pilgrimage. I think we've been forced on it, right? And so in this case, people didn't choose to be in COVID, but we do have the choice to say, wait a second, like you said, I like that word invitation that you used. There is an invitation here to say, oh, well, if I'm on a pilgrimage, how would I approach a pilgrimage? Well, I would try and milk it for the evolution part of it as much as possible. And so, of course, we have to take care of ourselves and earn money and feed our families. This is just like we have to drive a motorcycle, we have to focus, we have to not die. And then when I can take the time to inquire and say, what's going on internally with him? What's upsetting me so much? What's triggering me so much about this? And then of course, I mean, if the only entertainment sometimes could be going out and hiking, you can't go to restaurants as much or these big music events, but go out in nature a little more, or, maybe it's pushing us to do some other things.
Yeah, it's almost like perfect divine design, and yet people's paranoid mind, even if those stories are true, they're like, it's all planned. We're meant to, the evil forces. But at the same time, even if the way I look at things, even if the evil forces are so-called at play, it's still by divine design. So I still firmly know and believe that. So we have to realize, the more we can realize that, I think that's huge to freedom too. Like, okay, this is by divine design. This is helping us to, with so many things we've been talking about. We want less pollution. We want, we want more deeper awakening. Well, guess what? Like many things have been happening during this time that are blessings, and that's always true. And then when you're caught up in the midst of the challenge, though, sometimes, of course, it's hard to see those blessings. No, whether physically challenged, relationships, money, whatever it is, it's like, I just went out. And yet there's so much you're gaining, in the journey. And so, yeah, I mean, what do you find is like, then we'll talk about the course because you're going to get a free gift for people. So tell us more about when you were challenged and, when other people are challenged on this road to Dharma, this pilgrimage. How did you deal with that? I mean, these, just the little things like, okay, I people feeling abandoned, or like I can't ride my bike, or I fell off my bike, or all these different things. Like there's so many challenges. I don't want to give the movie away, but yeah, how did people ultimately navigate those most effectively as they were happening in the moment? I mean, when they, how can we, maybe in retrospect?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, like one of the main challenges we hit right at the beginning was that the monsoon rains stayed a month later than normal. So for those watching, the monsoon rains should have stopped, early September or late August. And here they are late September, and it's causing landslides, washing out roads. It's not fun to ride at night in rains like this on a motorcycle. It's crazy. And the roads in India are already crazy. There's potholes everywhere. There's things coming at you. So it's almost like if you were to start a meditation practice in the middle of the monsoon while you're riding a motorcycle, while there's traffic, it's a little too late to start practicing, so to speak, right? So the key is start a meditation practice. If people aren't already, start your practice now before the shit hits the fan, so that we have something to call back on and practice, that awareness. If we strengthen that muscle of awareness, now that when things get harder, hopefully that awareness kicks in and says, wait a second, this isn't me. So that to me is number one, practice. I'm a big fan, if you will, of meditation. I think it's the number one tool in the toolbox. I've been meditating since I was 18. I started in college, and I realized then, wow, this compared to my friends that were smoking weed, like this is putting me up here. And wow, what a cool thing. I just did that on my own in 20 minutes and I'm at this vibration. And so I kind of dropped all that and went toward meditation for the rest of my life, basically. And I think that practice of meditation is key. I think, of course, having someone you can lean on, if people are leaning on you as a mentor, that's very, very important. For me, leaning on my teacher in those moments on the pilgrimage and each other. So even, watching this podcast, even watching the Road to Dharma, they're going to get something out of it and come out a little more inspired rather than watching something like, it's an older reference, but like House of Cards, that show where it's the worst of politics and everyone's evil. You walk out not trusting anyone.
Right.
It's just not helpful. I mean, I was watching, I'm like, this is just not helpful for me. I want to actually be a little more trusting in the world and not so closed. I don't want my heart so closed. I believe I can be an open being and not be taken advantage of. So it's important to watch things that'll feed our soul.
Yeah.
A little bit more and make us stronger. So it's not like this hippy dippy, oh, it's all good. It's actually strength and personal power. So a personal practice, teachers and mentors, watching inspiring content that reminds you of who you are. And then in those actual moments, when things are really tough, a lot of times I'm screaming in my helmet. How about that? Sometimes you have to get it out, right? Like, I'm like, oh, and that could be for 5 minutes. And then, then it's back to a mantra. Mantra is for me very, very helpful in times of difficulty. We use Om Namah Shivaya when we're going up the first peak of Kedarnath to really help us with the hiking. Om Namah Shivaya to really transcend the circumstances and time and the pain. So I find mantra to be on a practical level, very, very helpful. Awareness, mantra, other people helping you out. Perspective sometimes if needed, if it helps you to be like, oh, wait a second, there are other people that don't even have a house right now in COVID, that don't have food. If that perspective helps kind of get you out, I don't think it's the ultimate thing. Comparison can be tricky, but if it helps get you out of victimhood for a moment, I think it's a good practice and helpful also when in challenging times.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. So how do you say that mantra again? Because they were saying it. I was watching and I was like, I was late at night. I was like, I don't know if I'm getting it right. So can you help me say the mantra? Because it's
Absolutely.
really powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Om Namah.
Say that next part again.
Namah.
Namah. Om
Yep.
Namah.
Shivaya.
Shivaya.
Yeah. Om Namah Shivaya.
Yeah.
And that's really calling on Shiva, which is really the transcendence or the purification of all these crazy circumstances to go beyond time. But we don't have to think of it like that as much as like, all right, just invoke that mantra and that'll really just help us be less subservient to the sensations and the circumstance and really just pulling us into our strength and our power. Om Namah Shivaya. So we really chanted that. I mean, this is a difficult hike from about 6,000 feet to 12,000 feet after a morning of riding, after a whole day of riding the day before. And at high altitude, and people were struggling. As you'll see in episode 3, Jen was really struggling, but she started using this mantra and it just changed things. And it's fascinating how easily we can kind of tune our own brains and our own physiology through words. Internally, it's just to be a tool. This is nothing woo-woo at all. It's simply a tool. Like let me speak to myself.
Right.
And let me tune my own body, my own little machine. Let me give it a little edge. So that helps a lot. Om Namah Shivaya.
Yeah, because when I started using it, because they talked a little bit about like, at night when your thoughts start drifting and things like that. I find that happens to me sometimes. I'm really tired, even if I had a great day. I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired, and all that comes in. And have a mantra is a brilliant suggestion, just to really get that centering. So I look at it as like centering, coming back into the center, and so having that, you really throughout the day. If for those that for me, it's more late at night. Of course I have stuff throughout the day, but I mean, throughout the day I'm mostly centered, but more so at night when I get tired, when you're challenged, when you're more challenged.
When you're tired. Yeah. My girlfriend can tell you when I'm tired, I'm I'm ready. I'm ready for bed. I'm just kind of like.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, tell us about the you've got you've got a free gift, and then you've got the course that you're giving for, a portion of it for free. So tell us
Yeah.
more about your free gift and the course.
Absolutely. And one of the things along with, meditation awareness, breath work is another thing I should have mentioned.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's huge.
Breath work is huge. And I find that to be, especially for people that they're not just naturally tuned for meditation, let's say for silent meditation, mantra and breath work can be very powerful for like, finally the experience that people are talking about of like where things calm down or where I feel better. Breath work is super powerful. So in the course, what we've done is you take the episode, then we have the written work. So I've written out in a deeper way what we were talking about in the series, in the episode. So the aspect of freedom we dive into, relate it to our personal lives here meaning not in the middle of the Himalayas, and then review it for people so they have something to look back to, like, oh yeah, let me remember these guideposts, right? The outline. So you get the written chapter, then we have a meditation which includes breath work and mantra specific to help that aspect of freedom. And then a really cool thing is bonus footage. So, during this whole trip, we were filming a lot, and we have these long talks from Kedarnath, the 45-minute real wisdom talk at Kedarnath. Okay, we see 5 minutes of it in the series, but there's a whole 45-minute beautiful talk. Like you're there in the Himalayas with a master. So we have 5 hours of those discussions. Each one, again, goes with each chapter. The free gift we're giving everybody, you can watch episode 1, 2, and 3, right? So you'll get to Kedarnath, you'll get to that first peak. You get lessons 1, 2, and 3, so you can see the style of writing and understand how it can deepen your experience. Give you 3 meditations for free that you can download and have and keep. And then you can decide, hey, do I want to explore the whole series and the whole course and have all 10 episodes? And we're running a great program, a great 30% discount right now on that whole course through mid-November. So.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so we've got the link and the show notes here, and for people that want to take advantage of that, you'll have that special link in the show notes here. And we'll definitely put it on my, it'll be on my blog and everything at yoursacredpurpose.com/blog, in case people are like, what do you mean show notes, depending on where they're listening. So just go to my blog, you'll find it there, yoursacredpurpose.com/blog.
Nice.
So that's great. This is just so amazing that you've put together, because it feels so just guided, just so connected, Adam, what you put together. And I just truly know that if people actually explore this and go into the free episodes, lessons, and meditations, that they are going to be very, very happy with what they receive, and they're going to probably, many of them will want to do more. So really really do, from really the depth of me, really recommend people to do take advantage of it. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's really the intention of this series is so people have a deeper experience with media, so they get inspired to look at their own freedom, so they walk away invigorated, realizing they're greater than who they are, not buying into the conditionality that society puts on us, these jails, so to speak. And the feedback's been amazing. People that take the course, it feels really good to me, because this is one of the best courses I've ever taken. This is so multimedia, so different than a normal course, right? Where we really have this episode and the series to follow and characters. It is a unique thing, right? And again, people are, what are you doing? This is not normally how a series is given out, but you have to try new things. You have to challenge the human mind to learn in a different way. Yeah. And we don't need to just sit and binge watch a series. We can actually take that experience we had and let it really change our lives. And people have been saying amazing things about that. And then sometimes they go on to then go to India. It really inspires them to go to India or to take a pilgrimage themselves, or to somebody moved right away to Vancouver. They're like, I have the power to move now. I'm doing it. I'm packing up. And I love hearing that people are inspired to take action in their life. That's really key.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm definitely inspired. I've already been, almost had a trip that I was going to do and co-lead even a retreat in India, and it didn't happen, but it's a whole nother story. But it's back on my map again with watching the DocuSeries. So it's really fun. Yeah. So
Good,
yes,
good.
yes, yes. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I know it's going to happen, it's just whenever that, whenever I guess I decide or whenever it wants to happen. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. As we're beginning to wrap up, one of the things I like to do, Adam, is I always offer to do a little bit of tuning in with my guests, because that's part of what I do. I tune into people and share like the sense of who you are and gifts and that I see in you, and what's maybe some of the things that want to happen or evolve through you. So so yeah. So is it okay if we do that for just a minute or two?
Absolutely, I would love to do that with you.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and just tune in and just get a few things that are coming through to share with you. So I'll just take 1 second for me to tune in. Something very basic to start with, maybe, but they're showing me your hearts. The guidance is showing me your heart. They're showing your energy field. The radiance of your energy field really has been expanding so much. And now there is like your constant evolution comes from also from that place in the lower power center where an emotional center, sacral, but like this energy of that old sadness, and just it's saying something like it's not fair or something like. So it's old energy, the old energy, the old stuff, and I get something about why don't people listen? So it makes sense that you be sharing a lot to get people to listen, right? Why don't people listen? My God, and then certain things like you take as obvious that other people don't get. Like, come on, don't you see this? Like, you're kind of like maybe earlier in your life, maybe especially like a peacemaker. Like, come on, you guys, like this is how it works. This is how this can work, like a peacemaker, or like this is how we can work together. This is how we can come together. And so that's a gift you have because you've struggled. You've had scenarios given to you where really it was a struggle at times. So now you keep, then you do it, you have a real strength you can bring into it. Of course, that strength continues to build. Your skills and abilities with that continue to build. But I just see this beautiful, thing about you. But yeah, the other things real quick are just, I got this before we came on today. I was like, yeah, I mean, I love what you're doing with this. I think this is perfect what you're doing right now. And I really feel like the more you can, whether it's through things like Netflix, but like wherever it is where you can just have these ongoing, like, I want to say like, old terms like TV shows, right? Like these TV shows where people are just, like instead of just the Seinfelds, which was great. I mean, it's fine, but like all the other things we would take it in, but like something that is so much deeper and that over seasons and seasons and seasons, not just like, 10 episodes, but people really can get deep into it. I really got a big download, and even maybe opening up a whole channel, and even much higher up. I want to say even beyond whatever Oprah's done. I don't know what Oprah's done with her channel, but so that's what I was getting. So anyway, I want to keep it brief, but that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you. It's beautiful. I think you're spot on. That's justice or fairness has been something that's for a long time been like both a blessing and like a can get me a little fired up, right? So I think and there's likewise with the peacemaker thing. So I think you're right on with that in terms of like the old, and what you're talking about where to go is exactly where I feel called as well. Bigger series, more impact with people to be more in their lives. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
Sure thing. My pleasure. My pleasure. And then just people want to check me out. Again, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. There is an opportunity for select people that I will meet with if you fill out an application, and I'll do some energy scanning for you to support you. And then also there's Meditate to Make Money meditation. Again, telling you it works when people actually use it each day. You're going to get the downloads. Your chakras are going to get opened up, and you're going to get downloads and frequencies and attunements that'll help you just to see your purpose unfolding and making more money. It's just a natural thing. So check it out, yoursacredpurpose.com. So Adam, I'm just so grateful to have you today. And as we're wrapping up, do you have any last words or last things to share with the audience?
last word, may people be, my wish on my birthday is that people be happy, for no reason at all, that they be full of love and realize that they're loved, that they be well and kind to each other. And that's, and then hopefully, I guess on the second level, watch the show.
Hey.
Watch The Road to Dharma. First that, but second, watch The Road to Dharma. And please get inspired and tell a friend. If it inspires you, tell them. It can help them as well. Open up a little bit. And thank you so much, Daniel, for your work and for having me on. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. My pleasure. Thank you so much for what you're doing and your work in the world. And you're making a huge difference with what you're doing. You really are. It's big. So thank you so much.
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay, everyone. So as always, keep on tuning in here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, and we'll keep on rocking it. Till next time, everybody. Goodbye for now.
Take care.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.